We have finally, mercifully, reached the end of the 2022 product release schedule for Magic the Gathering. We have seen a metric ton of cards this year, and Jake, that leads us to one question.
How many cards is 1 billion cards?
I did not prompt him on that. I just threw to him to see what question he was going to ask. The question I was going to ask is, which cards are the most expensive? We're going to cover the 22 most expensive cards from 2022.
From 2022. Highest level of gratitude to our patrons who power the channel through Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description to learn about monthly giveaways, VIP Discord access, and even our official playmat. Hello and welcome to the day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm Jake.
I'm Darkwing Duck. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel are Magic. We're going over the 22 most expensive cards of all the cards that have come out this year, with some exceptions.
Yeah, the exceptions are we are not covering the serialized card prices from Brothers War, the cards that appear in Brothers War collector boosters.
We're also not looking at any of the 30th anniversary secondary market prices because that product has just not been out long enough to get any sense of where those cards are going to go.
There were a couple cards on this list that I hadn't even seen. I had to be like, wait, Joel, what is that card from?
Same. We started researching this video and it was interesting enough to us that we wanted to bring it to you. So if you do find it interesting, you're entertained at all, or you like it by the end of it, hitting that subscribe button really sends us a message. Let's jump into number 22 and work our way up to 1.
The first card we're going to talk about is Smuggler's Share. And no, we're not talking about the regular base copy that came out of the Obscura deck from New Capenna. We are talking about a very specific card, $110 price on a premium foil promo pack version. So this is the only foil that exists of Smuggler's Share because this card was in a commander deck. So you can get the extended version that comes out of collector boosters, or you can get the regular copy that comes out of the precon. However, if you do want the foil version, it only appears in the foil promo pack. Pretty wild card and pretty wild way that you have to get just the only foil version that exists.
Of all the cards on this list, this is one of them that seems to be dropping in price currently. It is, as at time of shooting this video, the 22nd most expensive card of the year, with our caveats taken into mind, at $110 market price. It was only available in the premium promo pack. All the LGSs get promo packs and they get premium promo packs that are all foils. And this was the only way, like Jake said, to get a commander only card in foil. It also has the little Planeswalker symbol on it. Completed sales recently. On the 1st of December, there was a light played one sold for $32, much less than that $110 price tag, which just leads me to believe this card is going down in price. We also had 5 more light play listings that were around that same price, and then going back to the 11th of November, one sold for $64. The 6th of November, one sold for $54, both near mint. This is a card that I think was overhyped when it first came out, the card in and of itself, not the foil promo version of it.
Because
it is good.
It plays alongside stuff like Smothering Tithe and that kind of kind of like mechanic.
It doesn't have that same power level as a card. And so when this came out, this promo version was just under $100 and immediately spiked up to the like $150 range, and has just been sort of slowly gliding down over time. This is one that I don't think is going to hold a lot of collector value over time. We'll see in 2023 how wrong we are about this card. Next up at 21st on our list is the 30th anniversary history promo foil version of a retro frame Japanese exclusive Llanowar Elf. Man, that is a lot of words in front of this variant to completely identify it. But it is cool. It looks awesome. Sweet art. Great treatment with the old border. I love the shooting star foil. These are Japanese only, and you randomly got one of those promo packs like I was talking about with Smuggler's Share, except these had to do with Dominaria. If you bought a set booster or a collector booster box of Dominaria United, these came as promo packs. randomly seeded, so you got a random one available in foil and non-foil. These foil ones came out of the premium versions, and they were one of 5 that had a foil retro treatment, another of which is on our list further up, so stay tuned for that one. The maximum printing of these individual cards is 5,000 pieces. That's it. They're not numbered or anything, but we were told directly by Wizards that these 5 that are retro frame Japanese exclusive foil 30th anniversary history promos only have 5,000.
Joel, come on. More adjectives.
They only have 5,000 copies printed of any individual one. And to be clear, this was a booster pack experience. You get that promo pack, that premium promo pack, which is where these could come. And it even had some things like a voucher. There was like a scratch-off looking voucher that could come in the pack to win a piece of art that was super exclusive as well of the art off of these cards. Those packs, those premium promo packs you can find on eBay for like 50-ish, but this copy of Llanowar Elves, $112 market, and it has sold for about that recently. On the 4th, we saw a copy of this, the foil version, sell for about $113.
Really cool card. This was one of the cards that I had not seen. Pretty interesting though. To see the price of cards and have a general idea that there's only 5,000 of them, to see that this is the price that's reflected from that information kind of speaks to the overwhelming amount of product that continues to come out, that cards that we know are scarce have value like this. Pretty crazy.
And it's also showing that WotC is leaning more and more into regional exclusivity, or at least prepping us for the fact that that's going to become more of a thing. We just saw with Philadelphia, MagicCon Philadelphia, there's a secret layer that is desirable, but is only available through the overpriced Festival in a Box experience that you can get for a limited time through the secret layer website, or on site if you want to buy it individually for just the cost of that secret layer. And that's it. So this regional exclusivity thing is, I think, going to become more and more of a thing, and that's definitely what's driving the price of this. Not only is it regionally exclusive, but on top of that, it's very scarce and it's only obtainable in a booster pack experience. All those things just add up to a really valuable collector's card.
Next up, we have Blood Crypt, and it is from Unfinity. That was the unproduct that came out in 2022, and the card that we're talking about here is the Galaxy foil version. Market price for this card is $116, pretty comparable on eBay. I'm looking at 120s right now for this card. Last 3 sales on 12/4, 115, 12/2, 115, and 12/2 as well, 117. Where you get this, 1 out of every 24 in the slot of Unfinity collector boosters. Okay, so collector boosters is where you're going to find this card. I know that you can find other versions that aren't the Galaxy foil that appear in the regular boxes of Unfinity, but if you want this premium version, you have to shell out the big bucks for collector boosters. What you need to know about Shocklands: they are very, very, very powerful. They're very good. They are widely used. A lot of people want them for multiple formats. And so when you have a card like this that has a unique treatment like this, you're going to have people that are like, well, I only run one Blood Crypt, whether it's in Commander, maybe I run just one in a modern deck, that kind of thing. A lot of demand in MTG real estate.
Not only a lot of demand for Shocklands, but they are in heavy need of a reprint. And this set, unfortunately, didn't do a lot to move the needle. You do have these very exclusive versions, only found 1 in every 24 collector's packs, and these Galaxy foils are only 1 slot, so you don't even get multiple shots at them. At least in a regular collector booster pack of Unfinity, you get 2 shots at a Shockland, period. But for the Galaxy foil, it only is in 1 slot and only in collector booster, which is really driving the price alongside the scarcity of Shocklands. It's funny, Shocklands have now kind of passed Fetchlands, as we need these reprinted in a real way, please.
Pioneer wants them. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so these are always going to be in high demand until we get a set like Modern Horizons 2 was for Fetchlands. We're going to have, going to need a set that does the same thing for Shocklands. Our 19th most expensive card of the year is Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, the textured foil version from Double Masters 2022. These textured foils exploded out of the gate, and they've been sort of drifting down because I think people realized, the market realized, that they weren't quite as rare as some of the rarer cards that we saw earlier in the year and actually are on our list, and we'll cover those. But the texture foils didn't turn out to be quite as rare. $117 market price for textured foil Kozilek at this point. We have seen way higher prices for this card in the past. And look at the sales here. 12.2 it sold for $102. 12.1 it sold for $101. 12.1 we also saw a sale for $117. So we're in between that, like, is it just going to keep bouncing off that price line of $100, or will we see a Kozilek Butcher of Truth that is cheaper than $100, the textured foil version? Time will tell, but you know, that 3% of collectors boosters containing a textured foil did not really carry the weight that we thought it carried.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny because some of the cards that we are going to talk about on this list that came out of collector boosters, I think people expected, oh, it's like as rare as that. And I think, you know, this is we can learn so much from Double Masters 2022 as far as be patient when a set comes out. That Kozilek was over $400. I saw some listings as high as $500 for the textured foil. And there were people that were saying these cards are going to be so rare, they're going to be minimum $1,000 each. And that just shows so much how many different variants, how many different products there are. When Wizards of the Coast does something and they make something cool and unique, if they do it again, like we were talking about serialized cards, there are two different worlds for serialized cards. There's two different timelines that they can go on. They can go in, Wizards of the Coast does a ton of serialized cards, and serialized cards don't mean anything, or they can make it rare. They do it with one set each year, something like that, and it's actually something that's desirable and cool and actually rare. Pretty crazy though. Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, massive fall. Next up, our 18th most expensive card this year, and it is Gala Greeters. And it's kind of funny because Gala Greeters was a box topper that was in draft set and collector boosters, but we had some very unique news this year. And Wizards of the Coast is going to be discontinuing 3 languages moving forward with their products. Russian, Korean, and simplified Chinese are no longer going to be produced for consumers. This is kind of interesting because this is the Gala Greeters Korean version. Market price is $117. Has 3 sales as recent as 12.2 for $95, 10.29 for $109, and 10.7 for $122. Region-specific box topper, from what we can tell, possibly because of the discontinuation of Korean language, is possibly why the Korean Gala Greeters, maybe being the year that this was announced, one of the last promos that are going to be printed in this language, could possibly be propping up the price.
They had multiple versions of Gala Greeters, basically a version for every language that the game was printed in. That region got that version of Gala Greeters from Streets of New Capenna.
Specific art.
Specific art, different language, and this is not the only Gala Greeters that is on our list. I'll just do a little spoiler alert right there. This regional specific card that Wizards is leaning toward, it's a cool reward, but it leads to pretty expensive collector's pieces. If you wanted to get this whole set, every single version of Gala Greeters, it's not going to be cheap to acquire all of those, and you're going to have to look for sellers in those markets that have those, or then you're going to be buying from a reseller. I love the approach. We have seen that regional specific cards are a way they are happy to lean, and $117 currently for a card that's good but not great, strong but not OP, is kind of surprising to me. You know, we'll see how deep the regional specificity goes in the coming years. Next up, another Galaxy Foil Shockland from Unfinity. Godless Shrine, market price $129. This is one that seems to be rising. You got to think, these came out recently, and so we may not have yet really hit the crash, but Infinity didn't get played a lot. It was one of 1,000 products that seemed to come out all at once here at the end of the year based on some delays earlier in the year. And so it's kind of getting lost in the shuffle, and that means scarcity, and that means higher prices. But last 3 sales, 12.4 for $142, 12.4 for a light played version, $127, 12.2, $139. You're looking at very similar prices to the market price, if not higher, which sort of indicates to me that this card is on the rise, and these Galaxy foils of these Shocklands may have the legs to be long-term holds.
I mean, it comes out of a product that people historically just don't want or care about. Every time they come out with an unproduct, there has to be some sort of curveball, some sort of zinger to get people to buy it. Because otherwise, you're just buying a bunch of cards that are like, you might have fun at the event that you go and play them at. But outside of that, they don't really have very much application. And so this is a very strategic move in order to move this product, in order to get people to be interested in it. Put something that they care about. How about a space age version of all of the Shocklands? That seems like a good way to do it. For me, this is these are cards that I really want, but I hate Infinity. I hate it. You can't make me like it. I'm never going to like it. I hate the silver border stuff. I just don't care. But this is a way to get me to like it. This is where I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing, you evil geniuses.
It's also the first time that we've seen the Galaxy foil treatment on a card. And so first times seem to hold a higher price on some collector items. So, and it's a very beautiful foil treatment, I will say. I do like the treatment. So I think that's also contributing to the high prices here.
So we're going back to Double Masters 2022 for our 16th most expensive card of the year. And it is Dockside Extortionist, and it is the foil etched version. Market price of this card currently for this EDH staple is $131, with the past 3 sales being on December 1st for a light played copy at $99, December 1st for $119, and then on the same day $118. These only appear in the collector booster product of Double Masters 2022. So in the collector product of Double Masters 2022, you can get alternate versions of cards, borderless versions of cards in foil and non-foil, but you can also find those same versions, the commons, uncommons, rares, and mythic rare borderless cards. They also appear in the draft boxes. The only spot to get the etched cards is in collector boxes and the collector booster packs, which we know are around $80 to $90, heading toward $100 a piece for one pack, which is why these etched cards from Double Masters 2022 have a premium, and this will not be the last etched card that you see on this list.
Dockside Extortionist is a Commander staple. This is the second printing of it, with the first printing being in precons, which are basically like a tiny little secret lair experience where you only have so much time to get them. They are on shelves and stuff, but the ones that have, you know, staples printed into them get snapped up real fast. Dockside needed a reprint like crazy. 2x2 did a decent job of reprinting it, but it also provided this foil etch treatment, which has proven itself in the market to be the most trusted treatment. Lots of these foil etched are way more expensive than the foil version. In fact, you see a lot of times recently that foil versions are comparable to base copies now, where foil etched and then you get into your borderless and showcases. That's really where the market desire lays. So yeah, at 16, it makes sense that we've got a Commander staple that was printed in the premium set this year. Numbers 15 and 14 on the list. We're going to combine these because they are both Galaxy foil Shocklands. We're back to those. This was a great thing to print in Infinity. It gives us something to talk about with Infinity besides stickers and attractions, which I don't think anybody wants to talk about anyway. Steam Vents about $137 market price. Watery Grave about $131 market price. You've seen all of these from 22 up to 14 and beyond. We've been in the low hundreds. We're at 100 to about 140 right now. Past these, we start to crack into some actually very expensive cards, but with these Galaxy foils, they just seem to be growing in price. These two are very on trend with the rest of them that we've discussed. and only being in one of every 24 Unfinity collector boosters and then only one slot of those Unfinity collector boosters makes these desirable. Love that Galaxy foil.
Yeah, just have to say this, you know, where Commander, a lot of the time you have players that are just seeking out single versions of a card for their deck. Anybody who's trying to pimp a Pioneer deck or pimp a Modern deck, they might be trying to get 4 of copies of these Galaxy foils, which is also going to contribute to the price. If there's somebody who's like really gung-ho and they're like, finally they printed the space versions of these Shocklands that I wanted, they might be trying to acquire all of them. You have Commander demand, you have Pioneer demand, you have Modern demand. They're just very good cards, and people who are even playing Legacy on a budget want them. Next up, we have a beautiful card, and it is a textless general that many people love. Omnath, Locus of Creation, Store Championship foil. Market price of this guy is around 140 right now. I see some copies as low as 100, but you have to buy outside of the US and it could get dicey. Yeah, pretty crazy card here. 3 sales, 12.5 for 133, 12.3 for 142, and 12.2 for 146. It is a Store Championship winner at the end of October. Okay, so you had Spell Pierce, which was the participation, Gilded Goose, which was a promo for top 8, and this is for the winner. That is my understanding. It is a card with no text. It is a unique direction that I think Wizards of the Coast should continue to explore.
Agree.
I really like it. I think it looks cool. And yeah, get hyped on this card. Around $140 for Magic the Gathering's 13th most expensive card this year.
Yeah, this is a very desirable commander, a desirable version of a desirable commander, and this will remain a desirable card. It seems to be trending upward. Worst case scenario, it's holding price right now, but there's not going to be many more of these reprinted, if ever. So this is the kind of card where probably not financial advice, want to try and get it soon if this is a card you think you want in your collection, because it looks like the only direction for this version of this card is up. The 12th most expensive card in the year 2022 is a Galaxy foil from Unfinity, Hallowed Fountain. Market price about $146. So we are right in the middle of the hundreds now. Sales 146 on 12.3, 147, 12.2, 145, 12.1. The market is saying the market price is correct. That normally means it's going to go up in price over time. These Galaxy foils, we've said everything we need to say about them. This is the last Galaxy foil on our list here at number 12. It's just kind of interesting to me, Jake, how these Galaxy foil treatments of these Shocklands take so much of this list because they've come out recently and they are highly desirable.
Highly desirable. Yeah, you can learn a lot just from MTG real estate. And then also keep in mind that because it has blue in it, lands with blue typically have a little bit of a premium. So like your Watery Grave, which was on this list, Steam Vents, which was on this list, and now Hallowed Fountain. Breeding Pool not on the list because typically those colors are able to play around not needing Breeding Pool. At least when I'm talking about Commander. You know, green has a ton of ramp, so it's one of the cards that might not have as much desirability as the others that are on this list that also have blue. But yeah, Hallowed Fountain, not surprised by this. You know, typically Hallowed Fountain, Flooded Strand, they're typically at the top of their land types as far as financial value goes.
Yeah, it's interesting with these Shocklands in this treatment from this set, because my not financial advice would normally be you just need to wait. These prices are probably going to drop because people are going to continue opening it, and that's really the crux for Infinity. Nobody's really going to be opening Infinity.
They don't want to open it.
Right, that set has pretty much run its course. It got smashed into the middle of Warhammer 40k, Brothers War. So much other hype was happening around this that Shocklands in a rare treatment just didn't really do it for everybody. And so I think my not financial advice for this is these are probably just going to go up. So grab them soon. And
now they do appear as box toppers in the regular, but not Galaxy foil.
Right.
Like specifically.
Yeah, we're specifically
Galaxy
talking
foils.
this treatment.
This treatment. That's right. Now let's get back to a treatment that we've already discussed. Number 11 on our list takes us back to Double Masters 2022, and we are talking about a textured foil again. This time we're talking about essentially the most premium one in the set, and it's Renin 6. Market price for this card is now $154, down a whopping almost $650 from when I first saw this card in pre-sales.
Yeah.
For anywhere from $800 to $1,000. If you don't learn a lesson here, I don't know where you're going to learn one. 3 sales recently. On December 1st, $155. On November 28th, $145. On November 25th, $146. 3% of collector boosters contain this textured foil.
So we should pay $700 for this, right? Right?
We saw that percentage originally. Now, here's the thing, because we're going to talk about a card that has a unique color variant by the end of this. If they had textured foils that appear in 3% of boosters, but then 1 in 10 of those is like a gold gilded textured foil.
Yeah, rainbow
now we're
textured
talking
foil. Exactly.
Now we're talking way over the top, and we're talking a card that might be higher on the list. But Renin 6, big adjustment. Big adjustment, like all of the cards from Double Masters 2022 have gone through big adjustments. I don't really know what more there is to say about this.
Yeah, this set was opened in absolute droves. Turns out you need that more exclusive rarity to make something truly rare, even if it's popping up in only 3% of boosters
that are $90. $90 boosters. Even in 3% of booster packs.
Crazy.
That are packed to the gills with Commander playables. We made this joke about Double Masters 2022. It was the Commander set. It was Baldur's Gate. It was the Commander Legends of the year. Yeah, and so Double Masters 2022, even jam-packed with value, even coming out of a $100 pack, $90 to $100 pack, it still is not enough to prop up the price of the textured foils. So expect Wizards of the Coast to see this and say, hey, how do we do that thing that we did in Kamigawa?
Yeah, we'll talk about that soon. Our 10th most expensive card of the year is Gala Greeters, the traditional Chinese version. Again, these were region exclusive set, draft, and collector box foil box toppers. Market price for the traditional Chinese Gala Greeters, $155. Looking at the recent sales of it, it supports that price. 12.2, $154. 10.29, $156. 10.7, $156. But you see the gaps between those sales. 12.2, 10.29, 10.7. This is a molassesy card to move. Okay, great collector piece. $155 market price, seems to be holding or going up because these were so exclusive regionally.
We may have said simplified Chinese earlier in the video is getting discontinued, but as of July 18th, 2022, this was when this announcement was made, Russian, Korean, and traditional Chinese. So likely again, traditional Chinese being discontinued is probably why Gala Greeters is propped up, despite the fact that it is a card that has many different versions. It's a card that was readily available. It was included as box toppers. It is a good card, but it is not nearly as rare as some of the cards that are on this list. It probably is expensive because the traditional Chinese is no longer going to be supported by Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, combined with the regional exclusivity. I think, collectors going to collect, baby. And
people
they
that want every single
set.
art, they're like, I want all the art of the different ones. And then it has that unique additional layer that is, and it's discontinued language.
Right. Foil box topper, not a lot more of them being opened. Whatever we've got in the market is probably what we're going to get.
Sure.
Tough card to get. Price seems like it's holding or going up.
Next up, we have our number 9 most expensive card this year, and it is the Wandering Emperor. I'm sure that you all were you were just waiting for this one to pop up on the list. And we are talking about the Showcase Foil Etched version. Market price currently for this card, $173, with the 3 past sales being on December 3rd, $169, November 29th for $169, and on November 27th for $170. So holding that $170 price, that seems to be like a possible floor of the card. It's been out now for a little while. It appears in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty collector boosters. That's where it is. That's where you get it. That's where you get this version. It is very hard to find, and you have to essentially open $25 lotto tickets until you find one.
Yeah, the art on this was very desirable from a set that
Beautiful
people
card.
really
Beautiful.
loved. Yeah, and it was another printing of the most desirable foiling on MTG cards yet with that foil etched. So it's not surprising to me. This card has kind of been on the MTG Finance radar all year since we were opening this set at the beginning of the year. So it's not that surprising to me that this one has held price and seems to be holding price. Our number 8 card, we've got an interesting one. This is Grandmaster of Flowers, and this was obtainable by winning the Planeswalker Championship at a local WPN store in Asian markets. This was a Southeast Asian exclusive. Those Planeswalker Championships is not something that even happens here in the States. These started in 2021 having alternate art on them. Up to that point, they were stamped promos for participation, top 8, and the winner. Those existed. But in 2021, they started doing alternate versions of them, and this is the winner. This is the number 1 card.
That's
for
what the
that.
1 means.
Exactly.
That's what the 1 means, because
That's exactly
there's an
right.
8. There's an 8 that's on one of them. That means top 8. And then there's one that you get simply for participating. Just throwing that in there really quick.
It's these regional championships that happen not in the States. So there's a regional exclusivity aspect to it. It's the same kind of thing with Omnath, Locus of Creation, where you had to win that to get this card. The only other way I've ever seen those you have to win this thing cards go out, or if the store happens to, for some reason, have some left over. I've seen some stores give them away as like raffle cards, you know, something like that. But that doesn't do anything to help the scarcity of it. It's still going to be scarce. This was our Planeswalker Championship Series 2022 spring card. Market price $191. We're about to break that $200 mark. And the 3 sales, they don't really support the price of this one in a huge way. Grandmaster of Flowers isn't really a card that's taken off in a lot of formats, not really good for Commander, and so the desirability of the card itself is not there, but the desirability of it as a scarce collector's piece, I think that is there, even though our most recent sales on 11/28 are for $149, which is much lower than the market price at $191.
Yeah, this is a card that you just can absolutely get a much cheaper version of, but if you want this promo version, be prepared to pay a pretty penny. In the number 7 slot of 2022, possibly the most anticipated reprint, the most notable reprint of the year, Imperial Seal. And I'm here to talk to you about Double Masters 2022 again. It is the foil etched version. Now, this is a card that people said would not dip lower than 200. Well, it has. Some people said that we would never see an Imperial Seal for less than 100. If you want the regular version, you can get it for around $80 now. The foil etched version, like we talked about with Dockside Extortionist, it's very rare. So if you want that etched version, it only appears in the collector boosters. Our most recent 3 sales: on November 29th, 169, on November 28th, 165, on November 27th, 180. 1 etched card per pack, and you got to get lucky enough in this $90 to $100 pack to pull the Mythic Seal. Can you do it?
$194 market price compared to those recent sales doesn't really support the price of this right now. Now, that's not to say that this isn't going to be a great card long term, but in my opinion, not financial advice, now that the seal has been broken on printing Imperial Seal, we're going to see this card again. Probably within the next 3 to 5 years. I would say definitely within the next 3 to 5 years, if I was a betting man. This card is going to pop back up to prop some setup or prop up some ridiculous secret layer over the top. Buy this for $500 and you're guaranteed an Imperial Seal, as though that's something. But yeah, at $194 right now, I don't know if I would call this a pickup as much as if you've got it, just hold it at this point. See if it can crack 200, see if it can crack 250. then maybe get rid of it. Hopefully that's ahead of a reprint that it's inevitably going to have. Number 6 on our list is going to need a little explanation, and it is Neon Ink Green Hidetsugu Devouring Chaos. These came out of Neo Collector boosters 1% of the time. 1% of the time. These were in Neo Collector boosters. Just wanted to repeat that to harken back to our 3% of boosters that everybody was sure was going to be the $1,000 cards. With these, you had green, you had blue, and you had red. You also had yellow, but that was that was like a store exclusive thing.
Store thing.
Yeah, not like in the packs. In the packs,
Correct.
You had green, you had blue, you had red. You had half as many green as blue, and you had a quarter as many red as green. So within that 1% of the time, you had further scarcity and further exclusivity. Neon Ink Green Hidetsugu Devouring Chaos is our first card on the list that's above $200 at $202. Our last 3 sales don't really support the price of this. This is one of those top tier collector items that I've seen kind of trending down recently in the wake of all the controversies, in the wake of all the just product overload and consumer confidence fall. You've seen some of these top tier collector pieces go down in price. $202 market. Last 3 sales on the 3rd of December for $168, on the 25th of November for $168, and then the 25th of November also had a $174 sale. These are rare. This is how they should probably do these hyper exclusive worldwide release rare cards.
It's a card that's less than $1 in the regular version.
And that's
less
the other
than
thing. The card I was trying to, talk about the desire for Grandmaster of Flowers or even Wandering Emperor. This card has 0 demand. There is no playability here other than like fringe commander decks.
I think Legacy might have messed around with it a little bit, but that hardly drives the needle a lot of the time. They'll mess around with the card and then it'll just like kind of go away, and they're like, it's not good enough.
Right. Super exclusive though.
Yeah, this is kind of like what I was joking about earlier when I was like, if you wanted the textured foils to go to the moon, you needed to have like 1 out of 10 of the textured foils every time be like some sort of different color variant. And
I was going to say like all black and white. You just go
all black and white,
dark mode
gold
card or something. Yeah, all
you could
gold.
have a silver one, gold one, that kind of thing if you want to even create more tiers like they did here.
Right.
So it was a really interesting experiment. This is the first time that we've really seen something like this from Wizards of the Coast, and I'm gonna wager it won't be the last. It's definitely this is essentially the phase of the video where we enter into the Hidetsugu realm. Now, we did talk about earlier in the video that there were some cards that might only appear as a secret card in the Secret Lair product. In this case, Persistent Petitioners is going to be our number 5 most expensive card of 2022 in MTG, and it is only foil. Market price of the card is $214. And its last 3 sales are on December 1st for $150, November 26th for $95, and November 25th for $95. And you can see it is a specific version. This is number 593. It only appears in foil.
There is a rarity of secret cards as well popping up in these secret layers, and Persistent Petitioners has been one of the rarer ones, as reflected by the price of $214 market. This is not a widely desired card. This is a very specific card. But if you want to build a Persistent Petitioners deck, you do need Persistent Petitioners, and this is the way to pimp out that choice to build that deck. Our number 4 card of the 2022 most expensive cards is another Secret Lair secret card, higher rarity than most of Secret Lair secret cards, and that's the Extended Sliver Hive. This one, in my opinion, is more playable than Persistent Petitioners, but it does have to do with a specific tribe. Imagine if this was some ridiculous, like Ancient Tomb or something like that. That would make this card bonkers, but it is a niche card in one tribe. $214 market price, though. A lot of the cards for that one tribe, slivers is what I'm talking about. A lot of the cards for that tribe are expensive. a good chunk of them anyway are, just because of scarcity. The last 3 sales do kind of uphold the price at 214. On 12/2, we saw one sale for 210. On the 25th of November, we saw a sale for 211, and on the 21st of November for 190. So it seems like these are possibly on the upswing. I think that people will want this. Now, Sliver Hive is a card that you can get, just like Persistent Petitioners, for not that much. But if you want the extended foil version, you gotta get Secret Lair number 668 secret card, Sliver Hive Extended.
And that is a card that appears randomly in the secret slot of Secret Lair products. So where many people are opening slivers, there are very few people that are getting lucky enough to open the extended art Sliver Hive. So think about this. You could be buying a Secret Lair product for $30 to $40, and then you accidentally get one of these Persistent Petitioners cards, or in this case, the Sliver Hive, and you have a $200 card out of nowhere that you didn't realize. Pretty cool. In third place for 2022, most expensive card of the year, it is a Secret Lair secret card, and it is Persistent Petitioners again. $5.95. The vibe that I kind of get from this card and this art is that it's like a kind of like flappers, kind of look vampiric a little bit. I don't know. What is your take on this art? It's interesting. It's definitely crazy.
Oh, this is the one with the turkey, bro. This is
That's
the
right.
turkey art Persistent Petitioners. Why wouldn't you want the turkey art of your Persistent Petitioners? I don't know, man. This is just a weird one. It's so wild. This is the kind of card that surprised me. Caught me completely off guard when I was like, I wonder what are the most expensive singles of the year. Let's go and look and make a video about it. Did not expect for the third most expensive card of the year at $248 market price to be the Turkey Persistent Petitioners from Secret Lair.
I love how Persistent Petitioners was the card that they picked as well. A deck can have any number of cards named Persistent Petitioners.
Good choice.
And it's like this mill card. They just picked like, hey, let's go all in on these Persistent Petitioners variants. We saw some birds previously. Now we're seeing these like 3 women with a giant turkey. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. And that's not even the craziest thing we're going to talk about in the video.
The second most expensive card of the year may shock you. That is my clickbaiting way of saying Sarah Angel, y'all, for $445 currently, and sales that kind of support that. 30th anniversary history promos. Number 1, retro frame foil, Japanese exclusive promo, premium promo. Sorry, I missed a word in there. There's so many words to talk about this card.
You did your best.
30th anniversary history promo number 1, retro frame foil, Japanese only premium promotional card. This one is crazy. This one is like the Lanoir Elves, but for some reason, the Sarah Angel has either proven more scarce or more desirable on the market. 3 sales, last 3 sales, 1st of December, $350. So about $100 down from the market price. But on 11/1, we saw one sell for $440, and on 10/25, we saw one sell for $440. So
Scarce.
People have paid this price. But yeah, dude, I was about to say that. Scarce as all hell. When you're getting sales that slowly, this card is either a hard to move one because people know it's worth that, but they don't want to pay it. It's just a cool collector's item to have, or there's not a lot for sale. $350 seems really low for one to sell for on the 1st of December. But again, these really highly priced collector products seem to be falling recently, especially. And it has to be, in my mind, because of consumer confidence, fear of reprints, all based on 30th anniversary edition. But, you know, in this booster pack experience where it's a random card that comes with the purchase of a set booster or a collector booster box, you can only get the foils with the collector booster pick, and you needed to get the retro frame to get that super expensive promo. This card in particular, like number 1, I knew off the rip, I was like, well, that's going to be the number 1 card. But the number 2 card specifically was why I was like, Jake, we got to cover this, because this is blowing my mind. I didn't even know this card existed. I had to do like 30 minutes of research to figure out how the hell you even get this card. It was crazy. But Sarah Angel, $445 Sarah Angel. Jake, what's your take on this one?
Well, I think that Wizards of the Coast is trying to prop up these new modern card prices using nostalgia and retro frames.
Yes,
that's what I think.
Oh yeah.
I think that's like exactly my read on it is they're recycling stuff like Llanowar Elf and Sarah Angel, and you know, I saw like the Soul Ring promo and that kind of stuff pop up. And yeah, it just looks like they're trying to just use nostalgia. They're trying to draw on, you know, people who may have played with Sarah Angel back in the day. You know, you think about it like this, those are going to be maybe some of the older players that might be the most fiscally like well off to be able to go ahead and buy some of these more expensive things. So yeah, you know, interesting card. Definitely the regional exclusivity. It's interesting to see what kind of cards make it on this list, because they're all kind of like clumps of different or of similar things. You have like different clumps of similar cards that have made it on the list. We've made it to number 1, and it is probably not surprising to a lot of you that Neon Ink Hidetsugu Red Devouring Chaos from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Collector Boosters is coming in as being the most expensive card from 2022 at over $1,500 still. I am surprised.
This card has held
much lower.
Yeah,
it has held, and it is held because, like Joel was talking about earlier when we covered Hidetsugu Green, it has to do with there being half as many green as blue and a quarter as many red as green. So it is like you're finding a needle in a haystack, and then you're hoping that it's the right color needle. The last 3 sales, here we go, completed recently on 9/29 for 1,300, 10/13 for 1,300, and 11/21 for 1,400. So a little bit under the market price that we talked about,
but not much.
Not much. Obtained in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Collector Boosters 1% of the time. This is probably what Wizards of the Coast is going to look at this year and go, what is our most expensive card that we created? Oh, it's the jank red version of, or it's the red version of this jank card. And it's pretty crazy how much people have freaked out when they've opened this. And it's just specifically because they hit this one rare variant of it. Nothing super mechanically awesome about the card. Nothing super unique about the card other than they got the right color.
Never would have called that a year later, after this card came out, first set of the year.
After textured foils.
Right. After Double Masters 22, just in general. After what we thought Commander Legends 2 would be, that it wasn't. Never would have thought that we'd be sitting here at the end of the year talking about how Neon Ink Red Hidetsugu was the most expensive card of the year. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. It's just like, get out of here, Imperial Seal. This is Hidetsugu zone. I mean, it's pretty wild, dude. It's kind of crazy, but these are the top 22 cards of 2022 as far as price goes, and I'm sure you're sitting there going, there's something that these guys missed, and we can't wait to read about it in the comments. I'm sure you have a card that you're just like, wait, no, you missed this, and you guys are wrong. And I can't wait to find what we missed this year and do some Googling.
Yeah, remember that we did not include serialized Brothers War artifacts and rainbow foil on this list. The prices are all over the place, quite honestly.
Those could have been 22 cards by themselves.
Right. You can't, I know that they're selling for thousands, but you also can't look at just the card itself and go, this is selling for $1,200, because number 1 is going to be more, number 500 is going to be more, number 420 is going to be more, number 69's, you know, and so those prices are just all over the place. So I guess after Neon Ink, it's worth mentioning, yes, there were also serialized artifacts printed into an actual collector booster experience of a set this year. And then you also have to talk about 30th anniversary edition. That set has not been opened en masse, or whatever opened en masse is going to even mean for that set, if everybody that bought is not just going to hold it. But, you know, singles like Black Lotus, any of the Moxes out of there, all the Power 9 stuff, that could end up, and probably will end up, being more expensive than $1,500 for a Neon Ink Red Hidetsugu. But we tried to focus on the cards that were fairly obtainable and they were fairly like calculable of price and not just going to be all over the place when we see where the dust settles on the secondary market on them.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Card Kingdom actually has their buy list for the retro Black Lotus from 30th Anniversary Edition for just under $3,000.
Really?
So it looks like Black Lotus, surprise, is going to be the most expensive card of 2022.
Honorable mention. Y'all get down in those comments. Let us know what we missed. Let us know what surprised you. I want to see if anybody had the same reaction that I did to this list, which was there's an actual very real video here that's not just going over a bunch of does, because I did not know in the top 6 that Persistent Petitioners was going to be 2 of them. Ridiculous. If you liked the video, hit like and subscribe. I think that's going to do it for us.
Until next time, we'll see you next time.